Welcome to Picks with the Professor, the show where a real statistics professor gives you sports betting tips. Jake, 146 games on our first full Saturday of college basketball here on January 6th. How excited are you for all of the games?
I cannot wait. I'm so excited to sit my fat butt on the couch and tell all these incredible athletes that what they should have done and how they should have done it and all that as I sit on the couch eating pizza and popcorn and all that.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, we definitely like to armchair quarterback. I mean, who among us does not? We have just a ton of games, of course, and we've picked out 3 here for the free pick show. But if you're sitting there going, how in the world am I supposed to digest 146 games? How am I supposed to figure out? And if you listen to other handicappers or not, there's just a lot happening. And we've been thinking about this. We've kind of tried to hone our process over the years as we've kind of grown as an outlet. I started off with just, I built the model, I do the math, I make the model better. I kind of focus on that, but we're kind of constantly thinking about how to make it for a better user experience. That's part of the reason why we always talk about our Dub Club retention rate is so good relative to all the other handicappers on their site. One of the things we've done is create this best bets subset specifically for college basketball Saturdays. So if you're like, there's 146 games, what do I do? We've got these 3 and 15 more best bets we're going to cover on the extended cut, plus the play of the day. That makes 19 picks. So if you're looking for a slightly smaller set of plays, we give you 19 picks. If you want all the A grades, there's 70 of them right now. And some of you like to say, yeah, let's fire away at 70 games. Have at it. If you want to play the B grades as well, you're up over 100 picks. Whatever you are looking for, we will have you covered here on Dub Club. And again, if you want to sign up today, you can join your first month for under $1 a day using that promo code. We've also been working for the people at Dub Club. By the time you watch this, viewer, I think it will be there. Anyone who goes there, we're going to get you started with a 7-day free trial. We're going to get this going before the games tip off here on college basketball Saturday, because we just want you to get a taste and see what it is, see how it goes, see how the best bets go. And I've even talked them into anyone who goes here in the next 24 hours getting a 2-week trial. So not just 1 week, but 2 weeks if you go here in the next 24 hours. And it might go a little bit longer than that. I'm not sure how long that'll last. I know it'll go at least for 24 hours. So go today, hit the link in the show description. We'll send out the link in the show description just to get you there for that free trial as well and get started over there. Jake, otherwise, I think we should just get to it here because with the extended cut, we're going to be here all night talking basketball, which I know you will enjoy, but I won't. You're already hearing baby professor make noises in the background. So hopefully he chills for us, and lets us get through this. But we'll start off with Kentucky and Florida, 12:30 Eastern. Starting off hot with a pretty decent game here. 2 offenses that are better than the defenses, so we are expecting a lot of points. But the model still thinks that Kentucky's a much better team, and this is one of our favorites. The wrong team favored game. We've got Kentucky at 59% to win. That makes plus 146 in A grade. And Jake, all I'll say about it is what Cousin Jared's always saying, which is even if the model's off a little, but that's what we love about the A grade plays. All models are wrong, and we know my model's no different. It is wrong as well. And if it's off by a little bit, we still have a lot of wiggle room here, because even if this is only a toss-up game, which is very possible, the model's a little bit too high on Kentucky, a little bit too low on Florida. Even if it's only a toss-up game, plus 146 is a fantastic investment in a toss-up game. So we're going to be on the Wildcats here, A-grade pick, starting us off. Hopefully early tips, sleepy home crowd. Maybe the home crowd won't be as helpful for Florida. What do you think, Jake?
Yeah, I absolutely love this play. I think Florida is a little bit overrated everywhere right now. I mean, if you look at their schedule, their best win is Pittsburgh, maybe Michigan in overtime. I don't know. I mean, they've played 3 other pretty decent teams, lost all 3 of them. I think Kentucky is a lot better. Everything Florida wants to do, Kentucky is just going to be a little bit better at it. And Kentucky has the added advantage of not turning the ball over. They do a great job of valuing the ball. Florida, not so much. And then Florida also doesn't force a ton of turnovers. So there's not really many places that Florida's going to be able to take advantage of Kentucky. I mean, the size and the rebounding, I think some of the numbers are a little bit skewed when Kentucky had a lot of their big guys out. So I think those are kind of will balance back around. Also, Kentucky, very good shooting team. Reed Shepherd is incredible. He's fun to watch. And then, like, if this game is a close game and it's a tight game, and not so much like Kentucky as handling Florida. Florida is really bad at free throws, shooting sub 65%. That's going to make a big difference, especially when we just need the money line. We're not laying points or anything like that. So that's even better. I really love Kentucky here.
Yeah, and this kind of reminds me, it's not quite as steep, but the Minnesota-Michigan game we had the other night where we kind of debated, should we take the points with Minnesota or not? And in that one, Minnesota got the win outright. And I think we were just a little bit hesitant because I think the model gave Minnesota like a 42-ish% chance of winning. We were like, they obviously can do it. 40% things happen 4 out of 10 times. That's not crazy, but we were a little bit skittish there. But this one, with Kentucky being this big a favorite, you can obviously take some points, but the payout on the plus odds really adds up. And it's kind of one of the reasons we talk about loving money lines is my expertise in probability helps us in an area that a lot of people are not well versed in. So A-grade picking Kentucky plus 146, anything plus odds is a fantastic get here, in my opinion. 3 p.m. Eastern, my Baylor Bears will travel to Stillwater, one of the tougher places to play in the Big 12. A lot of tough places to play there, I guess, especially now when you add like BYU and the elevation there into the mix. One of the best offenses in the country for Baylor. Otherwise, neither one of these teams has a ton to be excited about. Oklahoma State has had some ups and downs this year, to say the least. They're strongest on defense. Their offense disappears at times, and that should help Baylor in this regard, because the big weakness that Baylor has is sometimes their defense disappears at times. And so that sets up to be a pretty favorable spot for Baylor here. Minus 192 just thinks in the A-grade territory for us. They went about 3 out of 4 times according to Sideline, and that minus starting with a 1 is a pretty good investment there on the Baylor Bears. Jake, what's your take?
Yeah, I love everything that's below 200 here because it really surprised me. I mean, Oklahoma State is a decent team, but they've not done anything to impress me, really. Like, they're not blowing bad teams out. I mean, besides the New Orleans and Houston Christian game, they dropped one to Notre Dame, and I think Notre Dame dropped a bye week game to Division II school. Like, Creighton got them, Southern Illinois got them. It's just, I don't understand why this is so short for Baylor. I know it's on the road and conference games and all that, but it doesn't make sense, especially when you factor in how much Oklahoma State turns the ball over, how they're just terrible at the free throw line. They foul a lot. They guard the three-point arc pretty well and keep you from shooting threes. So, I mean, that kind of works against what Baylor wants to do, but I trust Baylor to be able to figure it out with guys like Ray J. Dennis. They'll be able to work everything they want to do on offense. They just have to do it. They're going to – the pace is very similar, so I don't think there's anybody's going to try to take somebody else out of their game. I just think Baylor is the better team, more talented, better everywhere. I don't know. I don't see – there's too many ways that Oklahoma State wins this game. I see there's ways Baylor loses this game, but I don't see Oklahoma State winning it.
And of course, Baylor can absolutely do it. When you rely all on offense like that sometimes happens, right? Where if your offense just goes cold, the benefit, of course, for them is that by playing a full 40 minutes, right, it might happen in a half. Unlikely to happen in 2. It happened in the first half against Michigan State. Baylor played perfectly fine. In the second half, they just dug themselves in too big of a hole against a really good Michigan State team, a team that we were a little bit down on to start with when they played, but really figuring out and just much better than this Oklahoma State team. And so I think that's kind of the difference is that, if they were to do that here against Oklahoma State, they probably wouldn't be in quite as big of a hole because Oklahoma State is unlikely to do as much damage offensively and be out by 30 points or whatever it was that Michigan State was. And so they should be able to withstand that. And of course, if the offense shows up for a full 40 minutes, Baylor probably wins this game by double digits. So like I said, a lot of ways that Baylor wins and probably more ways that Baylor loses it than Oklahoma State wins it. But again, like you said, anything that starts with a 1's a great price. According to the model, minus 225 or better would be an A grade. So low 200s are fine as well. Have a little bit of wiggle room on this. Sometimes these minus about 200 picks that we play overnight here that we lock in, we send everything out to Dub Club. So by the time you edit the video, send it out, especially if you watch it in the morning, some of these have gone up to 250, 300, things like that. We've seen it on occasion, right? And again, benefit of being Dub Club, you get it right away, an alert sent to your email, to your phone, whatever you need. And so hopefully, it's still minus 200 or so. and you can lock this in, but just be leery if it does get out to the minus 250s. I'd still play it at minus 250. I just would scale back a little bit at that point because you're starting to really lose your value as it gets towards about minus 300, which would be kind of the break even point of where this should be. So we're a full dollar better than what it should be. And so we're going to take advantage of that with an A grade pick on Baylor there. And then wrapping us up, another Big 12 contest. And Jake, as much as you talk about the Big 10 having, basketball tradition, and of course, one of the best teams in the country in Purdue, as much as Arizona's fun out in the Pac 12, as much as the Big East has a lot of the history as well, as much as the SEC, is got a lot of football fan base, right? It's hard to look, and of course the ACC, I guess, but with the ACC falling back, it's hard to look past the Big 12 as the most fun conference in basketball, with the additions of a pretty okay Cincinnati team, Houston and BYU being incredible. And of course, the teams like Iowa State, who've been here the whole time, Sideline has them up to number 6. I mean, they are really good offensively, even better defensively. Oklahoma's not bad. Oklahoma would be like the third best team in almost any other conference. And yet here you've got Houston, BYU, and Iowa State like all in the top like 6, according to Sideline. And so Oklahoma's like middle of the road here at number 27 overall. Such a strong conference. Here's the thing, though, is that we kind of talk about, the difference in 21 spots in the middle of college basketball is nothing. The difference in 21 spots at the top here is actually a pretty good bit. And so while Oklahoma should be flirting with top 25 status, Iowa State is just really good. I don't know why we're getting plus odds here. This kind of blows my mind. Like, Oklahoma isn't really known for being the toughest place to play in the conference. I'm not saying it's not a tough place to play, but when you think about, of course, the home edge that BYU is going to have with the altitude, Iowa State historically, Oklahoma State historically, 2 very tough places to play. It's always tough to go out into Lubbock. It's tough to go into Morgantown. Manhattan can be tough. Obviously, Lawrence, Kansas is a tough place to play. Like, Oklahoma's not one of those places that you're overly afraid to go into. I don't know why we're getting plus odds. People don't seem to realize just how good this Iowa State team is. I love plus odds here. This is so exciting for me. One of my favorite plays of the day. Jake, tell us more.
Like, I don't get Iowa State that much. I think they are a very, very solid team, and everybody's sleeping on them. They should be very scary with how they play defense and that they have an offense to go with it. But I think the value is coming in when you look at their schedule. They've played 2 teams of value, well, 2.5 if you count Iowa, and they lost 2 of those to Virginia Tech and Texas A&M. Both close games, but I think that's where we're getting value because everybody's like, what have you done this year, kind of thing, as you get in the conference play. And Oklahoma's beat some name teams, but I don't know that really matters. I mean, the North Carolina game, they got blown out on. They beat USC and they beat Arkansas and beat Providence, but I don't know that those are banner wins that most people think they are. They are turning the ball over a little bit too much right now. They're just a half step or a full step behind Iowa State everywhere, like offensively or defensively. They're just not on the same level, and I don't think home court's going to make the difference. A lot of these guys at Iowa State should be used to going into Norman. It should be a new experience for them or anything. And Norman's not that scary of an arena to walk into. So I think Iowa State ends up handling business pretty good here.
And I think there's so much to say here that we've kind of already covered, but I just feel like it's important, especially if someone's new. But when we covered the Oklahoma UNC game a few weeks ago, we took North Carolina. I believe it was plus odds or it was really short minus odds in what was essentially a home game for them. And we were like, UNC's like maybe a top 10 team and Oklahoma isn't. And Oklahoma was ranked, I think, like 8 at the time. And I think you said the same thing. You were like, hey, like the wins kind of look impressive, but they aren't. And that's where we kind of had that discussion about the benefits of the model is it's going to adjust and it's not going to get caught up on, oh, this team was ranked at the time. It's going to say, well, sure, who cares what they were ranked at the time? How good are they and how good that win is? And make the win, adjust and say the win's better or worse based off what we've learned. And the same thing holds here. I think people have kind of realized that a little bit about Oklahoma, but I think what people haven't realized with Iowa State is the same thing that people were concerned about with Minnesota against Michigan, is they said, oh, it's soft. Look at that. They haven't beaten anybody or whatever. And absolutely the strength of schedule for Iowa State is not good. It's kind of like in the 300s, I think, no matter how you look at it. But just like with Minnesota, how you play against who you play matters. And if you play a really tough schedule and you're losing to the top 10 teams by 2 points on the road, you're probably a top 10 team. That's a very tough thing to do. But if you're only playing weaker teams, but you're, you know, kicking the doors off of them, that sort of thing, that matters too. And all of this is built into the model, just like with that Minnesota pick where we said, hey, they got a chance to go on the road and win. We took the points just because we were like, winning is tough, and it came down to the end and they got it done there. But either way, we were like, there's value here because people are selling Minnesota short because of the schedule, but it's like how you play matters. And that's what the model's picking up in here with Iowa State is saying, sure, we understand that the schedule isn't that great, but the fact that they've beaten some of those weaker teams so badly tells us something. It's the same thing with Houston, right? The fact that they beat some of those weaker teams so bad tells you something. And so I think that people are just kind of missing on Iowa State, just like they were a little bit missing on Minnesota. Not to say Minnesota is this good, but better than the market expected. But this is priced as if these two teams are equal. And honestly, if I had to say which one's better, I feel very confident saying Iowa State's the better team, despite they lost to A&M or whatever. Like A&M's a good team. Like I don't think that means a whole lot. They played them a whole lot better, than Oklahoma played North Carolina or whatever comparison you want to make there. Plus 134 in Iowa State. Just a fantastic pick, in my opinion. Again, you can join us over on Dub Club for the extended cut. The link will be in the show description for everyone who's watching this before the games tip to get you a 2-week free trial. Check out all the best bets. See if you like how we do things over there. Again, we have some of the best retention numbers on the platform simply because of all the things that we provide, always trying to make for a great user experience. And so join us over there. If you're with us, you will get to see the extended cut and hear our discussion about those best bets. But if you don't want to hear us ramble about them, they're already in your inbox straight up. Just here's what they are. And so you can just go ahead and fire away at them. A lot of good options on the board, more A grades that we didn't even select in the best bets if you want to peruse through those. Just all sorts of tools to make you a better. Here's our recap. Chick, we've been doing a lot of totals. 3 sides here today for the people on the recap. Two dogs. I love betting dogs. I love betting short dogs. It's one of my favorite things to do. Parting words, though, before we take a 60-second break and then really dive into the bulk of the Saturday slate.
I mean, it's already Saturday, so I'm so excited just to find my spot on the couch and not move till from noon till like it's March Madness all over again.
Yep, absolutely. All right. Well, hopefully, again, we see you on the other side of the break. If you want that, sign up on Dub Club, and that link for the free trial will be in the show description.